when the baby's born, as that baby slips out and onto your chest, they've had a release of the hormones of stress as they're being born, and they're necessary to switch all the processes in their heart and their lungs into full functioning for the outside world. But once they're born, it's really important that those stress hormones dissolve and that love hormones take their place. And how that happens is by lifting up and onto the mother's chest, so that they feel the skin of the mother, they smell the smells of the mother, and that they hear and feel the heartbeat, because that automatically drops the stress hormones. And what's very interesting is at the back of the brain, the reticular activating system, which is in the brainstem, is actually matures in those first few minutes after birth, so that it sets like the framework in place for the world view as to whether the world's a safe place or a dangerous place. So that if babies are welcomed in that way, straight away, skin to skin, smell to smell, touch to touch, then they get the gestalt of trust and love and intimacy immediately, and affection. So they have all those processes in the brain switched on, which makes a different worldview for that individual. Now, if for any reason that isn't able to happen straight away, to do it later is really important, so to get lots of skin-to-skin time with the baby. Now, newborn babies have a very distinctive pattern of behaviour for the first few days of their life. When they're immediately born, if they haven't been drugged by drugs given to the mother, are so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and alert and curious and interested in connecting, and you actually enhance that by doing the skin-to-skin, face-to-face looking. And mothers who have an on-face or face-to-face experience with their babies are much more likely to carry their babies, be with their babies, keep them in their room. And those babies who are nurtured like that actually sleep in their own room faster than babies whose mothers try and control them and put them to sleep in another room, and all those sorts of things that we love to control in this very controlling culture. But actually what we do is create a nightmare for each other, and we don't realise that. Now, what I find really fascinating is that newborn babies who are able to connect with their mothers, and they're not born in a stress-filled environment, they're born into a love-filled environment, are very quiet, very calm, very alert, very observant. It's quite beautiful to see. And then they fall into this deep sleep, and they often sleep for up to 12 hours after they've had that first feed, because babies have an instinctive interest in finding the breast. They can differentiate between light and dark, and then the breasts, the nipples, become darker, so the darkness actually attracts them. They're also configured to see human faces. That's the thing they can see really well, so they automatically look at the people around them. And you'll see babies when they're born. It's so cute. The father will speak and the baby will suddenly turn its head around and look as they say, "Oh, I know that voice. I know that voice. That's what you look like." And it's quite remarkable when you start watching those, for those kinds of signs. So the little baby, born, alert, starts after a short while licking and looking for the breast. Once it's fed, and that can take up to any amount of time, up to an hour to be feeding, and can go on both sides of the breast, and it's stimulating all the hormones in the gut. It's stimulating the release of all those hormones that get the gut moving and that actually switch the baby's processes over into being born. And also the mother, it switches a whole lot of processes on for her, including birthing the placenta, making the uterus contract, controlling the bleeding. Just a wonderful process. Babies go into a deep sleep. Now you can see that that was evolutionary designed or evolved so that mothers and babies could sleep together and both could recover from the enormous exertion of birth. So after they've had a big sleep, now depending on what time of day the baby's born, if they're born early in the morning, then they're most likely going to be up that first night. Babies are awake most of the first, second and third nights, and they sleep all day. So mothers have to be really aware of that so that they can pace themselves, so they can sleep during the day when the baby sleeps and be available for the baby during the night when the baby's doing that thing they do for the first 3 nights of on and off the breast. Coping with learning about being on the outside and being near the mother is really important. And then when the milk comes in around day 4, then the pattern starts to shift into a more of a 3 to 4 hourly pattern. And the breasts, the milk starts really coming in. But the colostrum, which is the pre-lactation milk is so important because it has so many vitamins, minerals. It's just like gold liquid, really high energy, high packed protein food for the baby for those first few days of its journey into getting the sucking right. That's all about learning how to get on the breast and how to attach to the breast correctly. The mother pacing herself with the baby for those first few days are so important. So it's important to set up all the networks around you so that you're well supported during that time. So for the partner to understand that, so that they're able to sleep with you, so that you can both get sleep during those days. If you've got other children, to have other people to take those children out for the day, so that when they come back, and make it really special, so that they're there at breakfast and they're there in the evening, so that you all have this family time together, but they have this incredibly special time where they're treated really, really well by the other family members or friends, so that they feel really special with the birth of this baby. And of course, that's where having a present for the other children from the baby is a really good idea in those, once the baby's born.